Welcome back to Crescent City Community College to work on your Maasters in the Maasverse. Our current course is focused on Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah Janet Maas.
Warning, while we may be your silly gal pals, we don't recommend listening to this podcast around little ears or ears that may be offended because we say bad words and shitty things. There will be spoilers for A Court of Thorns and Roses and some for Throne of Glass as we tie things in and connect the dots so you don't have to. We will only have spoilers for the current Crescent City we are chit-chatting about. Reminder that thoughts, feelings, theories, and just things we say can evolve, change, be debunked, or completely off the rails. Regardless, it's all for fun and not that deep, especially since we will be tailoring our theories to the current book. So our thought process is going to grow with yours. Now, relax those shoulders, unclench those jaws, clamp that clam, and let's get into it.
Chapter 9 in Hunt's POV. Hunt had an evening of assassinship for Micah. He made it back to the committee and barracks ready to shower off the blood. Naomi let him know that Isaiah said they'd be playing buddy cop tomorrow for some shit that went down in Old Square. He was about as interested in that as I am in self-help books. And with all that self-loathing in the world, he basically took the hottest shower alive.
He is every girl.
Yes, truly.
I have my shower set to Mordor every time.
John is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is way too... I'm like, that's how I like it. I like burning a little bit.
That's why Ryan and I can never shower together because the difference is insane. Like, why are you showering in ice cold water?
I know. I'm like, this is so cold. He's like, no, it's not. Or like the kids will yell at him when John will get their shower ready. They're like, Mom, this is cold. I'm like, I know.
Rowan is the opposite. He's like, Mom makes the shower too hot.
Oh yeah, my kids, they like it warmer.
That ain't me.
No. What's the drums with Sandriel and Shahar? Sandriel, Archangel and Governor of the Northwestern Quadrant of Banjera and Hunt's former owner before Micah had traded for him. Sandriel was his dead lover's twin sister. She possessed him for 53 years and tried to break him. She hardcore hates Hunt and believes he turned Shahar against her.
Sandriel is an absolute monster. She literally had Hunt fight for fun, like knowing the opponent would die. Like, we get that they are like not the best people and they're kind of assholes, but like, poor Hunt. That's so traumatizing. Like, he's literally killing his people he knows.
Isn't that weird that that was a thing, like, and back in Rome, and like it was for enjoyment for rich people? Like, what?
Why is that fun? But I guess, I love a good conspiracy theory. There is like that conspiracy theory that there's like those rich people that hunt poor people like on an island. Like, there's movies about it and stuff like that. So it's just same vibe.
Rich people shit, you know?
I can't relate.
I don't get it. I'm just a poorsy. So moving on to some Shahar lore. So Shahar and Hunt, as the general leading her forces, led a rebellion. Shahar wasn't a big fan of her twin sis, Sandriel, and believed that Sandriel had her parents killed and framed the assassin so they could rule without interference. Shahar believed this and was one of the reasons she even led the rebellion. She wanted a world free of rigid hierarchies and to make her sister pay.
Sandriel and Shahar could have their own series. Like, that story itself is really enticing and it's really dramatic. Like, I'm into it. So Sarah could go off and we'd be into it. It's like
a novella.
It'd be a great movie.
Yeah. It would. Like, all of this that we're just talking about, like his dead lover's twin sister, is very Days of Our Lives. Like, really?
This is such like a crazy backstory. If you think about, like, Hunt has an insane backstory that's worthy of its own book. Like, how did he get to wanting to rebel in all of this? And like his relationship with Shahar. Yeah, I would be into that.
Shahar was known as the Day Star, which is interesting because her name means dawn or the first light of day in Hebrew. Now we can move on to Micah a little bit. Micah's deal, he gave Hunt the chance to prove his loyalty to archangels and one day get his halo removed, which would take decades or centuries. P.S. Angels live to be about 800-ish years old in general. Micah said a kill for a kill. Since he was a general, he would have to pay for all those taken at the Battle of Mount Hermon, which was 200, or 200, just 200, 2,217. 4 years later, he was only at 82.
Getting into the Micah of it all. So we know Micah's an archangel. An archangel is a governor appointed by the Asteri. So he was a king among angels and law unto himself, especially in Valbara, so far from the seven hills of the eternal city. If he deemed someone a threat or in need of justice, there would be no investigation, no trial. That's just really to put into perspective, like what kind of power Micah really has. So when we first get into Hunt's assassin shit, there's a line. The male's terror filled the room, overpowering the scent of blood. Its reek as bad as stale piss in the alley. Obviously, it says it smells is as bad as stale pee, but what do you think terror would smell like?
I don't know.
I feel like it would be like a sour smell.
Yeah, I feel like that could. Yes, I agree with that.
Like, I feel like terror would have a tang to it.
Mm-hmm. Like, you'd have to get pine sol to get that smell away, just really scrub it.
I guess on the flip side, what do you think like desire would smell like, or lust, or when they smell the room after it just happens? I don't know why I don't just say they just had sex, as if I can't say that here.
When most of our podcast is inappropriate, and then all of a sudden you get coy.
I was like, I went mom mode for a second there. Like, I can't say it, but my kid's not here.
No. I feel like it's probably sweet with I don't want to say the word musty, but
The musk, like an amber, like a warmer scent.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Not must. Or must.
Warm. Yeah, must is not the one.
Not
like
the
if it's
vibe.
must, like lust is weird for you.
I meant musk.
I have some questions. I just wanted to point out that 7 seems to be a number that is repeated in the Maasverse. So is 6, but 7 is very prominent, especially in this book. And so now going forward, I won't be able to stop pointing it out. So 7 heads of the cities, 7 gates, 7 asteri, 7 hills, which is what sparked this whole thought. The 7 stars around the SPQM tattoos that they have. In Akatar, there's 7 high lords, 7 territories. The Autumn Court has 7 brothers, which is a weird one, but who knows? It could play into something. It was 7 times 7 years for Tam Tam to beat the curse, the 7-year war. The list just goes on. It's even present in Throne of Glass. Dorian gave Aelin 7 books from his library. Aelin has to identify 7 poisons. 7 is really prominent, so you will not get me to shut up about it. I'm not sorry.
Now, 7 symbolizes completeness, perfection, and divine order across cultures. There's the 7 days of creation in Judeo-Christian tradition. Ancient astronomers identified 7 celestial bodies: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And in Greek mythology, Apollo and Artemis, the twin god and goddess of the sun and moon, had the number 7 as their sacred number. Why do we mention all these things? Because Sarah Janet gets a lot of her inspiration from the Bible as well as Greek mythology, Norse mythology. Like, she loves it all. And she's a nugget gal like us, for sure. So that's why we bring these things up. In this chapter, he was looking in the mirror, and he said his eyes were glazed, empty, like staring into hell. Just a little forward to the shadow for you.
He stepped under the spray, submitted himself to its relentless burning. I feel like heat is his comfort on a bad day. If I have a bad day, I like a good shower to just rinse off the ick.
And I see it as that kind of, but I didn't see it as full comfort. I almost took it as part of his like self-loathing, like to get all that blood off, almost like he feels so unclean and dirty. He deserves to essentially have it burned off him. Yeah.
It's almost like there's some foreshadowing here.
Yeah, maybe, she might have done a little shadow before. We learn that Hunt's real name is Orion. Now, Orion in Homer's The Odyssey, Orion is essentially the goat in hunting, the Michael Jordan, if you will. Odysseus sees him hunting in the underworld with a bronze club, a great slayer of animals. In some legends, Orion is able to hunt anything in existence. Orion is also mentioned as a constellation and the lover of the goddess of dawn. Hey, what was that Shahar means in Hebrew? Dawn or morning light. Or you can take a look at the goddess of dawn, and her name was Eos. And Eos was the daughter of Hyperion and Thea, and the sun god Helios and the moon god Selene were her siblings. So when we dive deeper into Bryce's story and further in the books, we can see how maybe Sarah Janet took some inspiration from Eos for Bryce. So there's just a little something that we will be able to spiral over in the future.
Chapter 10. Bryce was at work at the gallery and some fuck ass dork Faye comes in trying to impress a lady Faye friend. It was an awkward ass first date, and it got Bryce thinking about how if she was a full born Faye, she would be getting into an arranged marriage with similar awkward ass first dates. They were still perusing when the buzzer went off at Griffin Antiquities. It's Isaiah and Hunt at the door, but they are not there to do some light shopping for decor. Bryce doesn't answer, but Hunt can smell her lingering scent.
So Bryce lingered by her ironwood desk. Now, this is the first mention of ironwood in Crescent City. Ironwood. We know Jespa defected from the witches, so it would only make sense why she would have an ironwood desk. And just a little quick Maasverse tie-in, not a full-ass lesson. Ironwood and Tog, aka the witches, obviously. But really, this clue just brings me to Akatar and the fact that the Archeron bed was made out of ironwood. Truly just proved to me that Mama Archeron had some witchy ass blood.
And the worlds are connected.
I'm trying to break down all the things that are in the gallery or things that they're selling because they're clues to the Maasverse puzzle. I mean, a lot of these rare items are hella old. So if we can try to piece them or find a connection to other stories, we're going to try. In this, they said one great palace in Altium studied the intricate jade puzzle box that belonged to a princess in a forgotten northern land. So with this, Maasverse-wise, the princess we know that lived in a northern land was our girl, Aelin. And if you look at a CC map, northern would have had to have been on the Pangera continent, which is where people do believe that if it is the same land, that would be where Terrasen would be. So just something to think about.
Do you think it's the same land, or what do you think?
I do. I think where they're at, Valbara, is the southern continent. Like I think it's Antica where like Kale was and Tower of Dawn, just with how it's hot and stuff there. That's my personal belief. And I think Pangera would be more, yeah, where the mainland was for Terrace and everything. But who's to say? What about you?
I think they're layered worlds, but I do think Throne of Glass was before. So yeah,
Agree.
definitely like the same. It has to be the same land, but or it's like the same because Sarah Janet has said that the worlds can be layered, so maybe it is the same world, and but time doesn't matter. It could be happening at the same time, but still 15,000 years ago.
Yeah,
Does that
like
make sense?
multiverse
Yeah,
types.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I think it's in the same spot, but I don't know if it's the exact same land.
Right. And also, if you look at when we know that Asteri like ruined a land 15,000 years ago, potentially Togland. Togland.
It sounds like a theme park.
It does.
I want to mention the name of Bryce's work, Griffin Antiquities. So, griffins are creatures with the body of a lion, the head and wings of an eagle, and an air of regal dignity. This powerful mythical creature in Greek mythology is known in myths for guarding treasure. Antiquities are objects from antiquity, which are the ancient past, especially in the period before the Middle Ages, aka of Great Age. And I just think it's a really curious name for a
Especially with what
library.
we were just talking about with maybe Tog being a long time ago. It makes sense.
Just curious name, little Shadow of the Four, maybe, who knows.
Mhm.
And when Bryce is not answering and Hunt smells her, he describes her as lilac and nutmeg, and something he couldn't quite place, like the gleam of the first stars at nightfall. What a unique way to describe someone. Also, when you start smelling someone, you know what's up. Like, you know.
Ye 100%. If there's scenting happening, if you're talking about smells, it doesn't matter if they're the fucking evil person in the beginning, I'm like, "Ugh, they're boning soon." You just know it.
Yes. Like, but I can tell you, I don't smell my husband like this. Well, not, he definitely does not smell like the gleam of the first stars at nightfall.
No, actually, like, even in, like, contemporary romance, they're always talking about smells too, and I was like, "Fuck, I guess I just don't smell John very often."
Like, I guess when Ryan gets home today, I'm just going to go and see what I get. You know, if I get that cedar smoky man scent or if I get some dial soap.
Yeah. Well, "Oh, nice Irish Spring there, pal." Like,
Ryan stopped using Irish Spring finally.
John went back to it because I bitched about the Sasquatch stuff.
It, you know, I get it.
Mhm,
I get
mhm.
it. Bryce gives him shit and is smart to not answer the door. She tells him that she's free in 3 weeks. How many fucks does she give? None. Not one. And still doesn't answer the door. Hunt thinks she's full of shit about the customers, but lo and behold, she was not. She smiled and waved and shut the door. Hunt does not practice patience because he gets mad and tries to use his lightning on the iron door that didn't so much as shudder. He gets right into it and says that they're there about a murder. Dun dun dun. Hunt is a little disappointed because she doesn't react to him being the big bad Umbra Mortis, just gives him a time limit to be there. Isaiah gives her what's the haps and tells her that the vampy slut bag, Maximum Tertian, kicked the bucket. They ask all the usual cop shit and learn about the last encounter with him. They start asking about the crown prince of the Valbarian Fae, Rune Dannon, and Bryce is like, wait, who are you? This entire time, Hunt is just assuming the worst of her. Like she is some dumbass party girl, assuming the absolute worst. This was the start of my hate for Hunt in the first read. Like he's just such a prick about her. Makes me mad.
Well, I think especially knowing Hunt's backstory, where he just thought Shahar was the best thing. She's doing it for such a noble cause, and it's just like this hot redheaded party girl. So anything she does is like beneath what Shahar would do.
Yeah, nobody's gonna fill those
No.
angel shoes. They ask her about her alibi and what Rune is to her. Then they drop the bomb that Micah is also scheduled to appear at the gallery. Bryce is like, okay, what's happening? They explain that Max's injuries are similar to Danica in the Pack of Devils, even though Homeboy Briggs has been in the slammer listening to Akon locked up on repeat. Bryce calls up Jessica and lets her know who's in the gallery and who is on their merry way, and that the killer that killed Danica isn't actually the killer. Turns out it's a pit level demon. Would you look at that? Jessica, my cat just jumped across the screen. Jessica has Bryce lock down whatever she needs to lock down and then hangs up to become boss bitch. A really important question that I have for you, Blake. Do you think
Ready.
angels fly with legs like this, or like this? And for those who can't see, leg straight down, leg at an angle, like with the breeze, or Superman style?
Okay, maybe it's just 'cause I watch a lot of I have a reoccurring dream about flying where I fly in my dreams. I've had it for the longest time, and I always, like, do this, like, to start going, and I always have my legs a little bit curled in, like, not all the way curled in, but that is how I do it. Or sport mode. So it's like I have the 2 options of it's like Crocs, sport mode or a little, like, curled in, you know?
I feel like sport mode is for sure when they're gonna go like real fast.
Yeah,
They're gonna go
they're
zoom
going
zoom.
it's battle, yeah. Zoom,
Like
zoom.
Superman style, we gotta go
Yeah.
fast with them wings. I feel like they have to be a little angled. Like I
Yeah,
don't feel like I feel like you like curl them back. They don't just like his feet don't just dangle like a swing. Can you
like, that is
imagine?
an
That's
ick.
ew.
That is a fucking ick. If they're legs are just dangling about in the wind. No, it has to be a little bit curled under. Otherwise, like that is yuck.
Okay, this what kind of sparked this thought is when he is supervising her going forward and he's across the way and he like comes and yells at her like at the window. Like, how are his legs hanging? Like, when he's just hanging out talking to her, are they like dangling feeties?
I
Do they
kind
just
of
like swing
feel
back
like
and
he's
forth?
hovering a little bit. So it's like, the air would move him for the most part.
Does he
Or
go
maybe
like
Exac I just feel like he'd be up top pretty solid, but moving like a little.
it's like he's treading water?
Yes, that's what I'm picturing, but in the air.
I don't like that.
No.
I'm not into that. Like, I think Hunt's 2 time a month pass to my harem is
Yeah.
just redeemed. It's like we're back down to 1. Like, let's get a redemption if you want to come back because those dangling, like treading water while flying is not okay.
Well, like, have you seen the Instagram reels about where they'll show like what an ick it is to go underwater and watch like all these like big men and they're like looking like, yeah,
That's definitely the angels. Like, so when they
that's the
just
Crescent City version for sure.
yeah, I don't like that. Okay, yeah, for sure. Ick. No, thank you.
Mhm. I did just want to mention our girl Jessica because I will say she's one of my favorite characters in the whole series. We see the sound of rustling sheets or clothes filling the background. 2 male voices grumbled in protest. Honestly, I just love that for that girl. Like she's just getting it in left and right, and good for her.
Jessica has game. Or does she
100%.
terrify them so much they're like, yes, I'll sleep with you? She's a hottie.
Yeah, she is a hottie. I think she probably has that magnetism about her, that charisma where guys are like drooling and they're like, come in bed. Want to come? Want to come home?
I agree, though. God, I love Jessica.
Me too.
Very sex positive in this book. That's, well, the whole Sarah J. Maas universe is sex positive, but especially this series.
I would agree with
Pro
that.
ho.
And like people make comments about like Akatar about being judgy with Nesta and her. And I was like, no, it wasn't just her going through a lot of dick. It was other things,
If that's how she has to cope, like let her write it out.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to get under people to get over.
to get over them.
We are a sex positive podcast. Go be slutty. Once again, it's your reminder for this episode.
It's our sexual course at Crescent City Community College. We nailed it. Sexual health.
Coitus course of Crescent City Community College.
Gross. But yes, coitus course.
I'm taking a coitus course at Crescent City Community College. Professor's a real slut. Chapter 11. Shortest chapter of all time. Go me. So, gorgeous Archangel Micah showed up, and Hunt and Isaiah stood right behind him. Bryce brought them in to speak with Jessica on the vid screen. I just picture Skype, and I don't know why. Micah tells Jessica about the murder that occurred last night and how it was the exact match for the death of Danica Fendir and the Pack of Devils 2 years ago. He drops the bomb that he wants Bryce Quinlan to find the true murderer behind this.
Just want to point out the Archangel rang the buzzer precisely 7 minutes later. And when I say 7, I always think
I know.
I think of Monica Geller.
Monica, every time.
Every time. I really don't know how I didn't like Bryce the first time I read this. Like, Bryce shoved the thought from her mind as she shut the iron door behind Hunt, just barely missing his gray feathers. Like, I love her. I went back to the date that I read this, April. And so it was less than 2 months post-op, right after I read Throne of Glass. And I was just a miserable bitch. I think that's why I hated her.
Probably. Yeah, because Bryce is like a petty bitch. She's us. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense why you hated her so much. I didn't hate her. I just was kind of like, she's fine.
I think I related too much to her. Like, I'm very spiteful. one time I had a roommate who would not wash pots and pans at all. Pissed me off. Like they were always dirty. And so I hid them. You know, I love a petty bitch. And so I should love Bryce more. I do now.
Well, because you have some self-love now. You just didn't at the time. You're so miserable and sassy.
To be fair, I just had my knee repaired, but there's no excuse from when I hid the pots and pans from somebody.
How old were you, though? 20?
Like 23, 22, 23.
I know, like, the timeline wasn't gonna work out, but I just all of a sudden wanted you to be like, 29.
Yeah, I've done some petty things to my husband too, but it's fine.
Just so you guys know, there's a period of time where Kylie and I weren't friends. Like, we had a friend breakup, and I was on her Spotify family plan, and she took me off. That was another petty moment.
No warning. I just removed
And
you.
and because I appreciate pettiness, as soon as I saw it happen or I noticed it, I started laughing. So, see, we're meant to be friends. I was like,
You're back on
I
my
literally was like,
Spotify. It's
that
fine.
fucker.
I am atoning for removing you. You're back on my Spotify. We're okay.
I hope so. We have a podcast together, so
We're
post
cool.
it on Spotify.
We've come full circle.
Truly. Let's go back to Crescent City Community College and take a course on archangels. There are currently 10 archangels who ruled various territories of the Republic, all with the governor title. All of them answered to only this Terry. Regular angels could level a building with their magic if they were powerful enough, but archangels could wipe out a whole fucking city. It's hard to predict how strong archangels will be, but it usually is passed on, or sometimes it could just pop up in unremarkable bloodlines.
I mean, look at Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you not mention his voice, silk and steel and ancient stone? He could probably make someone come by merely whispering filthy things in their ear. That's a mighty power on their own and very sex positive.
True. Well, whose voice do you think is sexy enough to make you come? Hmm? Do you have a celebrity?
Good
Morgan Freeman.
question.
I knew it. It's Morgan Freeman.
You know what? He can whisper sweet nothings to me, and I'll be like, yeah, it's fine, because he's got a very soothing voice. David Attenborough telling me all about the clitoris, like very educational and like smooth. Into it. What route are you going?
I don't know. I'm trying to
Bill
think
Nye.
Bill Nye for sure. Mr. Rogers, personally.
He wants you to come to his neighborhood.
Be nice to your neighbor. I'm like, I'll show you nice to my neighbor.
Are we sexualizing Mr. Rogers right now?
That was my fault.
There's a special place in hell for us now.
Which level of hell?
Now.
Now. Not before. Go hide some pots and pans. Get off my dick. Now let's take a course subject, the Fallen. The Fallen were enslaved with witch spells woven into the magical tattoos stamped on their forehead and a wrist tat, SPQM. I can't say how you say it. Senatus Populusque Midgard. Is that close?
I say it right in my head. I don't know if I can say it right out loud.
Perfect. The Midgard Senate and people. But honestly, like, how fucking embarrassing. These poor slaves are walking around with tramp stamps on their fucking foreheads.
There's no hiding it. Like,
No.
they'll never get away from that trend. I know, like, it's like thorns and stuff, but I really do picture, like, the tribal tattoos from the 90s. Like, that is 100% what I'm picturing across their forehead.
Like
it is
Nick
not
Nick Lachey's bicep, but on a forehead.
That's fresh in my mind because I watched the first episode of Love is Blind last night, the new season. And so, yes, like, truly, I can picture that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
So Jessica says her face was both young and wise, bedroom soft yet foreboding. Her pale gray eyes gleamed with glittering magic, alluring and deadly. I just want to point out that somebody in Akatar had gray eyes as well. Miss Nesta, hers were blue gray. And another interesting one is in Throne of Glass, Falcon Enar, the shifter uncle to Lysandra. Lysandra, I struggle with her name for some reason. I mean, Amryn has silver gray eyes as well, but Blakely and I dove into that real fast, and she's actually an old school archangel, but we'll discuss that more on our Avatar podcast, which you should listen to.
Later this month.
Blakely is the worst. Chapelish is 12. Because I always think of Fergalicious and like that's where my brain goes. And so I'm like dancing to this when I'm like writing my chapter, and it's awful. And it's an earworm. And now I will be singing Fergie all day again. This is your fault.
I am not sorry.
Michael lets Jessica just get right into it. Michael lets Jessica know that this is a non-negotiable and that Bryce will be donning her tan trench coat and fedora in her very own Detective Mary-Kate and Ashley real-life movie. Micah tells everyone he is looking to jazz things up since he is dropping the ball and doesn't want to look like shit at the summit. Jessica takes this opportunity to ask about the summit, and we learn the new Witch Queen will be formally recognized then, and that Sandriel will be coming there as well. Yes, that bitch Sandriel. For a whole ass month. Micah's tickled pink to tell Hunt that Pollux, who is a dickbag, is coming too. Not the fun kind. He doesn't deserve it. You know, the fun kind of coming.
I got it. Thank you for explaining it.
The dad joke in me, like, did you get it? I am my father's child. Micah is like, Bryce is our girl for this. She's seen that demon. How hard can it be? It's just a murderer summoning a demon. I think as representatives of the Court of Dreamers, we can all summon a demon if we put our minds to it, or the murderer that is summoning one, whatever. They have no idea what kind of demon it is, and it turns out that there are 7 territories it could have made its appearance from. This is not a solid start.
No. And the 7 territories of hell are the hollow, the trench, the canyon, the ravine, the chasm, the abyss, and worst of all, the pit. Like that, the pit, isn't that something in fucking Parks and Rec? The pit?
Yes, the hole that was there. Like, that is the whole reason for this show.
I was like, wait, the pit. Why is that? All of a sudden I saw Leslie Knope in my head. My bad.
I'm
ADHD.
picturing what's his butt? Chris Pratt. Like, he's the ruler of the pit, and it's just this dirt hole. Like, that's the deepest one of hell.
He's just rolling around down there,
breaking his arm. Like, not a hottie like the rest, just like a normal guy.
Yeah, I really ADHD got the best of me there, guys. Sorry about that. But shape-shifting princes rule over them. And maybe Chris Pratt, maybe down in the pit. Unclear. Andy's down there.
Pre-Guardians of the Galaxy, not post. That's like, because then he like got hottied up. He took his hottie juice and he was fine. But like,
He
this
took
is
the hottie juice.
It's a drink.
Oh, goodness. We hear about Pollux Antonius, Sandriel's Triarii commander, the Malleus, the Hammer, known for being cruel and merciless. Interested to hear his villain story. Fucking Pollux, what a name.
All of Pangea could have its own book with like a backstory of all these people, because they all, even if they are shitty humans, I'm looking at you, Pollux, they're really fascinating characters. Like, they're rich characters with no fucking background.
Yeah, it's like Pangea, just where all the shitty people go.
Yeah, you're born there. Shit. Well, yes, because remember, Micah is making Crescent City really progressive, and so yes, all the shitty people stay there. The other fun bit of tid Bryce learns is Danica and Max were friends, allegedly. Jessica straight up asks if Bryce is a suspect, and they say not yet. She asked why the Hind wasn't called over to assist, but this shit is hush hush. Word would travel fast if she did. She's warming Pollux's spaghetti noodler, plus she reports directly to the Asteri. What?
Spaghetti noodler?
I was on one when I was writing this, okay?
Obviously.
So Sandriel's Triarii consists of Pollux, aka the Hammer. The Harpy is mentioned, who is Sandriel's second in command, and then we have the Hind, Lydia Servos, who also reports directly to the Asteri. That's their little cool clique. I wouldn't say it's a cool clique, like
I
they're all
think they suck.
assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica asks for compensation and pulls out the law so that she gets compensation. We love a smart gal. Bryce is to work with Hunt, and he is her new protection. Bryce has no choice and is given loving parting words by Jessica. Do try to not die, Bryce. I'd hate to endure the inconvenience of training someone new. They wrap up their meeting. Hunt tells her to make a list of a bunch of shit, like who would have wanted Danica dead, what she was doing, where she was, all that fun stuff. She just shut the door in his face and told him she'd call him. See, love Bryce.
It's
How could I
great.
ever not? She's a bitch, and in the best way.
I agree. While we're reading about Jessica, I am now just thinking of Kris Jenner, even though they look nothing alike. Like Jessica has blonde hair, but like the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder. It's like that, but Jessica works harder. And then, she's right under the Under King, so makes sense.
She would definitely sell Bryce's sex tape for a few extra coin, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck you, Ray J. Literally. Chapter 13. Micah let them know that time is not on their side and they needed to solve this murder ASAP. He wanted to make sure this was figured out before the summit, as well as before the wolves, because Sabine is not a happy camper. Hunt was like, cool, but will this investigation count towards my quota? Micah was like, you need incentive? Fine. Solve this case as quick as Cassian is off the mark and before the summit, and I'll lower your debts down to 10. You tell no one about this, Athlar. Also, keep your dick in your pants. Whenever someone says keep your dick in your pants, I actually picture Justin Timberlake keeping a dick in a box. So I just, a dick in a box. So just need everyone to know that.
Dick in your pants. What I think of is I had a boyfriend once. He said when he had a boner that he would tuck it into like the waistband of his underwear to hide it. And that's what I think of about keeping your dick in your pants because you're keeping it in.
Yeah, I
I
think that's
really hate that I'm doing this motion to you where
mm-hmm.
talking about cum gutters, apparently.
I think a lot of men will flip it up.
Like it's keeping it in the pants, but that's my vision every time. Not my ex-boyfriend's penis specifically, just that happens.
Not specifically. That's not what pops in your head. It's his penis. You don't get a visual. Okay.
Not
This one.
today.
Side note, it's so fucking weird that they can regrow limbs and other things. But I'm also into it because I have a problem with missing digits.
You do. I mean, imagine like regrowing a penis. Obviously, like it's happened, but
He's a grower, not a shower.
truly a definition.
Truly.
I want to know if they can go truly bald.
Mm, that's a
Like
good
if you're
question.
regrowing stuff, and they do age, we learn, but does that like hair follicle or if they have some on their if they have a bush, like does it just stop? I don't know why I mentioned the bush. Like I'm thinking about Hunt's dick. Apparently, why would Hunt have a bush?
Why did you go? Yeah, I wasn't expecting Bush to get brought up, but
We're just talking about Hunt's big dick and keeping it in his pants. So that's like the most recent penis we're talking about.
yeah. And okay.
So do you think that they ever go bald on their head?
Maybe. Or they might have to go over to Pangera and get no, I guess it would probably be on their continent because it's hotter. Like how people go to Turkey to get a hair transplant.
Like Faye with receding hairlines, like the
Mhm.
haughty autumn king
Yeah,
just with
like
a
what if
receding
it's like
hairline.
here
I think that's worse. Like, can you imagine like an archangel like hanging out in the air, those treading
with his little
air
legs?
with a cul-de-sac?
That's the worst thing. Why?
Why not?
I'm so glad we have Kylie for her fucking questions on this one.
It's for my poor brain. Not my poor brain, your poor ears.
Now picturing the dangly legs with like a receding hairline. Ick.
That's how Micah deserves to look.
He does. He deserves to go out that way. Fuck. Lunathion.
Just so nonchalantly, just back at it.
Right back at it. So, speaking of dick regrowing abilities, Lunathion had been built as a model. I didn't know how to piece those two together.
Transition from that. Like, I derailed us so far. Like, we're on a different train now.
How can I do that? Nope, I don't have a transition here. Transition! Lunathion has been built as a model of the ancient coastal cities around the Ragan Sea. Ragan means little king, FYI. A near exact replica that includes its sandstone walls, the arid climate, the olive groves, and little farms that line distant hills beyond the city borders to the north. Even the great temple to a patron goddess in the very center. But unlike Pangera, this city was able to be modernized. Micah embraced using its new name, Crescent City.
I feel like Micah is in the spotlight this whole episode because not only did they just embrace the name, Micah was responsible for it, for seeing this city as a tribute to the old model, but also a place for the future to thrive. A mail of progress, of tolerance, they said. Most of his Triarii are made up of fallen. He cuts Hunt's death toll to 10. He really is progressive, not just as an archangel, but as a leader in general on that planet. He sounds like he should be a pretty cool guy.
And when Hunt was like, yeah, he should be a pretty decent guy, but I often imagine tearing out his throat. I found that relatable because when everyone's like, oh no, they're so nice. I love them. But there's something about them where you're like, no, they suck. See, he knew what was up.
Yeah, like on paper, Micah should be like a fucking god amongst these people because he's gotten them so far in life, I guess. But kind of sucks.
Nay. Jesus.
Nay.
After Micah skedaddled, Hunt chatted with Isaiah about the sick deal and how he needs to solve it, but he can't stop thinking about Sandriel. Isaiah's like, fret not. You have to protect Quinlan, so you'll be staying on the roof across from her. Also, go get your shit from the barracks. I have to go have a chat with Room. And no, I don't want you to go, considering you punched him and broke his schnoz the last time. Which, God, I wish we had, that would be a good clip in the soap opera to show of Hunt punching him in the fucking nose and breaking it.
The slow-mo too.
Yes. Jespa wanted two things. One, once you nail Hunt Athlar's balls to the wall, take a pic. And two, play Vengeance Detective all you want, but don't forget clan meetings don't take a backseat. If Bryce starts losing her money, she's going to turn her into a turtle. So my question for you, Kai, is if you could turn people that annoy you into animals, what would you turn them into?
I would choose an anglerfish, so that way they don't know the joy and sunshine and flowers and really just any fucking thing. But also, if you turn them into an anglerfish, on land, they die. So what would you choose?
That felt dark. I was just gonna go with a pig or something because I think it's funny, but that's
I guess how annoyed did they make me?
Okay, so Ryan's chit-chatting way too fucking much. What are you turning him into?
An anglerfish.
Kylie, one thing to know about Kylie is when she gets pissed, it is 0 to 100. So straight to anglerfish.
No, I'd probably make him some dumbass bird like a dove because
you love
doves
bird
are
watch.
stupid, but it's our fault that they're stupid. We humans trained doves. This is an educational podcast. To they trained doves, and so we domesticated them. over time. And that's why they're so fucking stupid and need help and make bird nests of 2 twigs. Anyways, yeah, so I'd make Ryan a dove
Okay.
or a
There's a
pigeon,
movie
whichever.
called there's a movie called Going the Distance. It's a romantic comedy, and what's his name? Charlie Day from Always
Yeah.
Sunny. He's like, he brings up, he goes, have you ever noticed that there's no baby pigeons or baby doves in the city? There's just none. And I was thinking about that, like, oh, as you're talking about doves, like, oh, I pictured a little baby dove, Rowan, because he's talking too much. Like, you fuckers go over there. You're talking too much.
You don't see the babies because they don't make great nests.
Well, I'm so glad we learned from our resident bird watcher in the rope
I got to buy more bird seed. But think about Rowan from Throne of Glass, which you guys, I did not name my kid after Rowan from Throne of Glass. We picked that name before I read the book, just to clarify. But my son's name is also Rowan. But Rowan from Throne of Glass, I'm like picturing him in a bird's nest now, just hanging out.
Yeah, just hanging out.
He's pissed at Aelin and the kids. And so he's like, I'm going to go nest it up. Not nesta it up,
Not
but nest it
Nesta.
up. No, he's not going to nest it up. Oh my gosh, can you imagine
No.
Rowan Whitethorn versus Nesta?
And Rowan would hate Nesta. Like, he would find her annoying.
That would be an insane verbal sparring match, though. Rowan versus
Yeah.
Nesta.
Yeah, it would. Rowan would just punch her in the face.
But she'd punch him back.
Yep.
I'm into it. Bryce was talking to Jessica, and Jessica leaned back in her gilded chair, a queen at ease. Her and Nesta, speaking of, have these queen comments in costume. In common.
Say that sentence
It was no way in costume. Okay, so speaking of Nesta, Bryce talking to Jessica. Jessica leaned back in her gilded chair, a queen at ease. Her and Nesta have these comments in common because in Akatar, Feyre was thinking it was impressive, truly impressive, to see Nesta go ramrod straight, to square her shoulders and look down her nose at the young acolyte, a queen without a throne. I really do think that these two.
Also, Hybern referred to Moore as a queen, and Rhys did too.
I don't think Moore is a good queen, though, but we can expand
Mm-mm.
on that in our Akatar episodes.
I don't disagree. You know, I've never liked Moore.
Yeah. I mean,
really
we have
haven't.
Manon. There's also Manon who just got her throne as Queen of Witches, too. Something is happening with the witches, and I'm so fucking hell-bent on it within the Maasverse. Fight
You
me,
wanna know what it?
not you.
The witches are this version of a mountain for you.
It's just you turn that M upside down. It's a W for witches.
Walk down, witches town. Let's go.
Really big. I live in an M town, Merino Valley. I just really like an M.
The MWs.
Yeah, no letters in my name or my husband's name of M's, but you know what? Why not? My child has a W.
Yeah. Really into it.
So the amulet is consistently being pointed out. Bryce toyed with the amulet on the end of her golden chain, zipping it back and forth. It is being pointed out how she truly has it on and how she's always mindlessly touching it. Like when Bryce shuts the door in Hunt's face, it glimmered across the street. We as readers are constantly being reminded of its presence on Bryce.
And in this scene, Sarah Janet was very intentional about talking about it because it was right after talking about the damn demon. So many shadows.
This amulet, yes, it's so stressed at how fucking important it is.
Bryce would definitely make the list that Athalar wanted, even though looking at her last known locations would be a difficult one for her. She had another client coming soon and contemplated her career decisions and let us know about her secret file full of job applications and a resume. Bryce decided to torture herself by looking at her and Connor's last text thread. Relatable. She would do whatever it took to find out who the murderer was for her friends. She thought about texting Juniper and Fury, but 1, Fury hadn't talked to her, and 2, she didn't want to put them or the case in jeopardy. I just want to say that I have some Bryce tendencies because back in the day when I used to be shifty before I was married, I would change people's contact numbers for like my number two boy that I was talking to. So I get this, Bryce.
I in middle school on AOL Instant Messenger, you just were able to be so sneaky that way.
Mm-hmm.
Have your backup boyfriends, you know?
Yeah,
'Cause everybody did.
you always just like to have some backups.
You know, as a 15-year-old, it's really important to have a plan B.
Yeah, nothing's, it's not gonna last. So you just gotta have plan B, C maybe, or a D, and an E, and an F. You know,
You just had those other options have to go to different schools.
I
I
did
would
that.
know.
You did that. You did that more than I did, but I also did that.
I did
I
that
did
so
my
much that another school thought I went there.
yeah. I was good about different grades, so I would.
Yes, that's also part of the game.
Hmm. So I hope you guys learn from this as 30-something-year-olds that this is what you got to do in high school.
We're just helping the future out. Like if my child, no, my child is not allowed to listen to this. Nope,
Absolutely
never.
not. No.
No.
Mm-mm. No, ma'am.
Chapter 14. Rune showed up to his daddy's house. Blood daddy, not like daddy daddy. But I mean, we know he is attractive, so he could be daddy daddy. To me, he's a hottie regardless of who his daddy is, but he's not nice. Really obsessed with Autumn King being daddy, okay? When
Hmm.
he says enter, he's got a crispy, mean tone, so he is not the most pleasant out there. In his office, there are bookshelves that rose 2 stories on every wall, crammed with tomes and artifacts both old and new, magic and ordinary. So you know he has a ton of cool shit in there, like the orrery made from solid gold. Daddy Autumn wants to know what his baby boy is doing there. Rune is there to tell Daddy Autumn that shit is going down with the murders, but he already knew. So this point of view is Rune's. It seems everyone is aware that they aren't actually control of anything. It says the 6 lower heads were all appointed by Micah, not elected by any democratic process. There were councils within councils designed to give people the illusion of control, but the main order of things was simple. The governor ruled, and the city heads led their own districts under him. Beyond that, the 33rd Legion answered only to the governor, while the Ox obeyed the city heads, divided into units based upon district and species. But no one seems to give a shit that they don't actually have control and that it's just a semblance of it. That's crazy.
You mean like how Earth is here in the United States?
Yes. But it seems like, I mean, the only people that are fighting for their rights are humans,
Humans.
and the angels have their rebellion with a handful of others. But it's wild that all these different species are just like, cool, whatever.
They're like, no
But
bigs.
humans have problems.
Hmm. Humans always have problems, though.
We are the drama.
Well, always.
We are. We love it. We thrive off it. The world just needs to be a big soap opera. Look at the war here. Not here.
Yeah. Chris. Yeah.
So fun fact, Rune is close in power, but not quite as powerful as his nearly 500-year-old dad, who showed no signs of aging. So Fae do age. Aging not as the Fae did, with their gradual fading into death, like a shirt washed too many times. They don't just die in some sort of battle, since there always seems to be a war happening. Like you don't hear about them like getting old. Like I just picture them either just going poof, disappearing, or they
Right.
die in war.
Yeah, I think I just picture they in their sleep or war. There's no other option.
Like they literally just disappear in my book. Like they winnowed to death.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. They're like,
I
bye.
said this in my book, my brain.
And I was just like, yeah, in your book.
It's my story, okay? But anyway, we learn more about Rune. Not only does he look rebellious, he is. He refuses to live in a villa his daddy bought him, adorned with priceless antiques. No, he chooses to live with his besties, but also that happen to be purchased with daddy's money since he pays Rune's salary. Rune is very much the rich kid that hates his dad.
Hail as old as time. I have an important question for you, Kai. So we know that the Autumn King is a hottie, and you would
Mhm.
call him daddy if you wanted to. And we know that technically Baron is good looking. Who in Akatar, the High Lord, who do you find hotter? Like, what is it? For me, it's the Autumn King. He's
Yeah,
more
I
fuck.
feel like the Autumn King.
He's more fuckable to me, and I don't necessarily know why. Maybe because they both seem to be a little abusive, but I'm fine with this one.
I feel like Baron, I don't picture him as a hottie though. I do picture Baron like squatty and like thinning hair. That's how I've always pictured. I know that's not the
I have
case, but
two,
that's the
but it's not
visual.
right.
I know it's not right, but because he's ugly inside, he's ugly outside.
I agree. Yeah. So like when everyone are
Not
like,
so
well,
that's not saying much. I say that, but the Fae King is an asshole inside too. But I don't know. I feel like if in his backstory, like he's doing it all for a reason. Like he's got a
I
good kernel.
I'm not one that loves like a redemption arc per se. Like I'm not always rooting for that. Like the people that want Tamlin's, I'm fine with it as long as it's good. I kind of feel like the Autumn King will have a redemption arc.
I feel like we need more backstory on him. Like, why did he choose Ember? Like, all of this. We need that. We don't get that in
No,
any of the books.
none. Not one.
Rune brings up Maximus Turchin was murdered shortly after a business meeting with Bryce, and Daddy gets mad. He starts thinking about how big of a dick his dad is to Bryce, not to be confused with how big of a dick his dad has. He was excited to have a sister. I was in heat when I wrote this. Clearly. Like, I'm
Apparently.
like, the Autumn King is so fuckable. I can't stop. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, he's
You're
reminding me of my
really
cat.
into
I
the
got a
Autumn King.
cat that's, he's Bruce. He's my cat. I just want him to, like, pay attention to me. But the Autumn King, we were not talking about his dick. Rune was excited to have a sister, but when she went to the Oracle and it did not go great, the Autumn King was like, absolutely not. And that's when he officially learned his dad was a dick. They were still cool siblings for a few years, but got into a fight, typical sibling shit. He then tells his dad he's her alibi for the murders, and his dad whines some more about her existence. Rune gets back into his informative for us deep thoughts. So we learn that Rune's mom is not a queen, just a woman that the king used to breed and that is well off because of it. His mother was the daughter of a prominent noble house that had defected from Avalon's court. She'd done her duty gladly, grateful for the eternal privilege it offered. But Rune took after her bloodline. His shadow walking set him apart from that asshole dad.
It's giving Tamlin like there's no such thing as a high lady. Like I feel like they have similar thoughts on that.
Yeah, like I'm in charge. You
Hmm.
go paint your little pretty little pictures.
Yes. Plan your parties. Acceptable.
Yes.
Hmm.
I'm on board with this. Like any angsty teenager, Rune can't keep his mouth shut. He called him out for breeding his mom and saying he should check on her. Daddy's like, you benefited from that breeding. Then he makes Rune muster up the little seed of star power he has to use it on a metal viewing contraption. He took some notes in the old language of the Fae, the half forgotten language their people had used when they had first come to Midgard through the Northern Rift. Rune asks what he's doing, and he says, studying how light moves through the world, how it can be shaped, and the scientist's interests are not the same as his. Then he tells Rune it's time to get married, and that it will be for an alliance since Queen Hecuba kicked the bucket and her daughter Hypaxia is the new witch queen of Valbara, and she is fresh meat ready to mingle. So Hypaxia's name meaning of Greek origin from Hypatia meaning highest or supreme. Isn't that spot on? It literally couldn't be a more straightforward name. No hidden meanings.
Right to the point there.
Nothing to dive.
Mm.
Okay, not only is the Autumn King a hottie, but he's an interesting man. He is an asshole for one, but what is he up to? What are you studying? Why are you studying how light moves and how it can be shaped? He's also interested in alliances because of the war, claiming he wants insurance. Obviously, like he's old and he's seen some shit, but he's making some really interesting moves. He's mysterious. He's like the male fury, but more visible.
Yeah, I think he's making some mastermind moves behind the scenes. Like he knows that he's not HBIC, like the Archangel's in charge now, the stereo, but the insurance is like, okay, if everything goes to shit, I got a plan, motherfuckers. Like that.
Yeah, like how do we he's trying to make sure
Yeah.
he stays on top, but like why do you feel like something's gonna happen? Like what do you know?
What
What do you see in
history?
that metal contraption?
Mm-hmm.
History buff. He sure is. Like I said, in that library or in his office, he's got tons of cool shit. He's kind of a hoarder.
Mm-hmm.
Rune tries to say no to marrying her, but the king is the king, so what he says goes. He also tells Rune that he needs to find Luna's horn. Really fucking bossy, if you ask me. Well, it turns out Dad is a little pissed because Micah shit on the Fae, saying that their magic is fading and insulted the Fae strength. Micah and the Otting King bickered about the horns more. Now Daddy is hell-bent on finding it. Rune is angsty and tells him, why don't you look for it? And he's like, I have been twat. But like calls to like, so go find it before Micah, bitch. In more or less words. What his daddy doesn't know is what the oracle said to him. The royal bloodline shall end with you, prince. If that is what the oracle said to you, would you assume the worst or would you look for a hidden message?
I probably try to find a way out, like look for a hidden message to be like, what else could this mean? Just because of how my brain works. But I think a lot of people aren't psychotic. So they would just be like, okay, that's what it means.
That means I die.
Yeah.
The end.
Okay.
In referencing Luna's horn, the Autumn King said it is a symbol, and symbols will always wield power of their own. It's giving the symbolism of Aelin being alive before they know who Selena really is.
And then Adian said something like, when talking about the sword of Orient, he says, symbols have power, Prince. So this is an ongoing thing that is said in Sarah J. Maas books.
It's like a nugget. It's like foreshadowing. But the king is so adamant on finding the horn. He says if war comes to these shores, our people will need it in more ways than one. Very much, what do you know, sir? Because he's not telling us something. Because he's
No.
always writing in the old language of the Fae. It's not common anymore. So, like, what are you writing about? And for who?
Shifty son of a gun. Getting our masters in the Maasverse. Want to know who else has a Ori, Aura, as I wrote, little Earth planet model thingy for us dum-dums? Our friend Rhysand. In chapter 3 of A Court of Silver Flames, Cassian is in Rhys's office and he describes a massive working model of their world, the stars, and planets around it, and some fancy things that were described to him, but he tuned out. Az was fascinated by this. Rhys built the model himself centuries ago. Not only could it track the sun, but also tell time and allowed Rhys to ponder the existence of life beyond their own world and other things. Okay, so we learn more about this in the future Crescent City book, but I wanted to bring this connection up with Axtar now. Why are Rhys and the Autumn King both interested in this? On a most basic level, they know and believe time travel and other galaxies exist. I think both of them are studying, so when things go to shit in their respective world, they'll have a plan B. But the Autumn King said he's looking for patterns, and I just wonder if they're both on the same trajectory, like what they're both looking for. Is it the same or is it something else?
So you said that Rhys built the model himself centuries ago. Who built the Autumn Kings? Is it the same thing? Do you think that that is Rhysand's, or do you think that the king built, or who built this? Really, who built the kings?
In this book, we don't know, but we do find out in book 2. And it wasn't Rhys's, but it's interesting that they both have one. Why?
Yes. The fact that Rhys built his from scratch is crazy. So Rhys is incredibly fucking smart to be able to build that, but we'll go more into that.
An Akatar. And book 2, we really do go into this a lot more. So after the new year.
But these, like we said at the beginning, when we're building our theories and talking about it, it is in the process of the books because, like, where does your mind go when you're reading this? If you're in the order, like, you haven't read book 2 yet. So you're like, what? Who built this? And yes, we learn in the next book.
But it's still kind of really does make you think how smart Reese is. It's not
To build that
like
from
talked
scratch is
about
incredible.
his, yeah, it's not talked about how smart he is really, just more cunning
It's
and
giving more than a
powerful.
regular fae. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Something to ponder. Chapter 15. Bryce was ready to settle down and watch her favorite reality TV show with Syrinx, but he had other plans. He made Bryce go look out the window and guess who was over on the roof on the opposite building? Hunt Athalar. She closed the curtains on him, but Ashley called and was like, I was watching that. And the two bickered back and forth. The next morning, Hunt called Isaiah to bitch about Bryce and then tell one of the best LLL stories in the book. While he was standing guard, he started to doze off at dawn, but the Chimera showed up and bit him in the ass. And then when Quinlan came out to open the curtains, he was grabbing his own ass like a fucking idiot. I don't know about you, but I fucking laughed my ass off while reading.
I did too, and I get into it.
So let's go to Crescent City Community College, course on mythical beings, Chimera. Slightly bigger than a terrier, wiry golden coat, long tail, tufted with dark fur at the end like a lion's. His folded little ears were flat to his round, fuzzy head, his wrinkles of fat and the longer hair at his neck, not quite a mane, were vibrating with his growling and his two big paws, which ended in bird-like talons. So weird. Chimeras are able to pick locks, open doors, and jump between two places if they are walking from one room to another.
I love how Hunt discovered these things about the Chimera. It says in the book, right until her pet Chimera just appeared next to me at dawn. Remember, he's across the, like, on a different roof, bit me in the ass for looking like I was dozing off, and then vanished again, right back into the apartment, just as Quinlan came out of her bedroom and opened the curtains to see me grabbing my own ass like a fucking idiot. Do you know how sharp a Chimera's teeth are? This was the moment that I texted you and I was like, I'm enjoying the book this round because I was laughing so hard at this because, like, you deserved it.
And it's just funny. Like this cute little thing is like, "Arr, pay attention, motherfucker," and then goes away.
Yeah, it's interesting that Syrinx was so into Hunt immediately too, and how he was upset when she shuts the curtains and danced at her feet when she was making bondage jokes to him. And which I love. The immortality is a long time to have a giant stick up your ass. And when Hunt dozed off, the Chimera woke him up, so he was back on guard. It's like he likes him and he wants him to, like, be watching Bryce. It's an
Mhm.
interesting little animal. He's a
Well,
dick. That animal is a dick.
really like him, but it is. They always say animals they get good feelings about people, like if they like people or not. So Hunt must be a good one. Lily, who's not an animal but loves him, so good vibes.
It's almost like, what does the Chimera know that we don't about or about Hunt?
True that. Our next subject is lowers. The lowers, the class of veneer which the Chimera belonged, had all sorts of interesting small powers like that. It is part of why they demanded such high prices on the market, and why, even millennia later, the Senate and the Styria had shot down any attempts to change the laws that branded them as property to be traded. The lowers were too dangerous. They'd claimed unable to understand laws with powers that could be disruptive if left unchecked by the various spells and magic-infused tattoos that held them, and too lucrative, especially for the ruling powers whose families profited from their trade. So they remained lowers.
I wonder how powerful they are without their tattoos,
Good point.
because they are if they'd be disruptive if they were left unchecked. So, like, what can those lowers accomplish without being
Mhm.
tattooed? The the class is being so stifled. The the bosses are interesting, but don't worry, I get more into that. I want to point out that Hunt calls her sweetheart, and I know it was condescending in this moment, but this nickname is not one that I enjoy. It's probably partially the reason that I wasn't into him, because he uses it seriously too, and I don't like that.
I've never been a sweetheart person. I don't usually like it when people say it, or it always is funny to me when I hear other couples say like, "Okay, sweetheart" or "sweetie." I'm like, weird. Like that's not one I say. Lily tried her best to convince Bryce to let the angel into the gallery, but Bryce was like, nay, nay. Lily really wanted to meet him because he led her people into battle. Jessica called and let her know a client was coming, not that kind of coming, and Lahaba needs to get back to work. Bryce went down to the library and braced herself for work she had planned tonight. Hopefully, she survives. I just want to make a little mention that in the gallery, there's a giant gold chandelier. It was fashioned after an exploding sun with all the other dangling lights in perfect alignment with 7 planets.
Interesting art piece.
Mm-hmm. Why exploding sun?
I guess Sarah Janet just really loves exploding things like watery bowels, exploding bowels, you know? Because Miss Sarah Janet loves bowels. In the bowels of the gallery library is what was written here. But I will take library bowels over watery or
That's fair.
exploding.
Yeah, I don't want exploding bowels.
No, thank you.
No, ma'am.
Okay, we truly meet Lahaba here. Like,
No.
finally, thank God, the best in the story. Okay, I do. Lahaba's my number one, so let me stop freaking out because I love her. So we meet Lahaba, the female shaped flame, aka fire sprite, that guards the library. I love her so much. She lays it so thick on with Bryce, thick on. She lays it on so thick with Bryce. She says, one day the boss will trade my services to some lecherous old creep and you'll regret ever denying me anything. Like, so dramatic. And I love her. And that's probably why. She's very dramatic.
She is very dramatic. Very dramatic.
Lahaba is the drama. We do learn that Bryce has a huge heart, probably bigger than her tits. In talking with Lahaba, she asked Bryce to buy her freedom because that's what Bryce did for Syrinx. Also, Syrinx would, I said it 2 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Syrinx wouldn't go to a shitty person and because Danica died.
Something I want to mention in this is Lahaba always seems to know what Syrinx is thinking. Like Syrinx said, you're lonely. Like the two communicate and it's just really cute. It makes you wonder.
Have you noticed that Bryce never addresses that? Ever.
Ever.
When she's always like, Syrinx said this or Syrinx feels this. Bryce never says anything. I think she just like brushes it off because she just doesn't think or know
Well,
about the chimera.
I also think there's multiple mentions of Lily prattling on. I think that Lily's just a certified fucking rapper. Maybe a certified rapper. Unclear. She has a deal. West Coast. No, she's a certified yapper, is what I was trying to say. And so Bryce just tunes her out half the time.
So yeah, she's not taking it seriously, but she should. She should know because like she could have communicated so much easier with Syrinx.
Okay, is your brain now picturing Lily having a rap album and like a music video? Because mine is.
Lily doing like a rap squat.
Yeah. A rap spot with a chain and then Syrinx in the background. Like that's a fucking music video and a bop. I'm sure of it.
Missed opportunity, Sarah Janet. Like, go rewrite the story so that Lily is a hip hop artist.
A certified rapper, not yapper.
Yes.
Fucking dumbass. Crescent City Community College time. We learn about Drakis. Magic skewed toward flame and wind, but some can summon water, rain, and mist. They're elemental-based magic, but none bore lightning. Unchecked. Sprites, all sprites, fire, water, and earth, were slaves as punishment for joining the Angels' Rebellion 200 years ago when the sprites had dared protest their status as lowers. There's a word, and I don't know how to say it. Peregrine? Nope, lowers.
Is it
That's
Peregrini?
lowers.
No, Peregrine.
Lowers. Every sprite was enslaved and cast from the house of sky and breath. All of their descendants are to be wanderers and slaves too. Yeah, fucking harsh.
So that, goes back to my question. Why keep them enslaved? What powers do these sprite have that the Asteri are concerned about them? Like, why keep them in check? Because it's not everyone. Like, Lily is very capable. Like, she's so wonderful. Like, she deserves to be free.
Well, and even Bryce says that her magic is a lot more than hers at this point, what she thinks. Like, it's not just simple little magic. There's more to Lily. So
The
they're
sprites are
scared.
interesting.
Mm-hmm. They are scared.
Chapter 16. Rune likes drugs, especially after being mad at his hot dad. Literally in heat every time I wrote.
You just really fucking want to fuck the Autumn King.
He's on my fuck, marry, kill. He's gonna be, I guess, the Mary, so I can fuck him for the rest of my life.
I mean, you didn't pick him on last week's on Instagram, but whatever. I did.
Well, that's a different story. In his drunken stupor, he smelled lilac and nutmeg. At first, he thought it was one of the skanks from downstairs, so he was worried about a less than stellar sexual performance, but then he realized who it was: his sister. She goes to get him water since he is so fucked up, and he follows her to the kitchen. In his drugged up haze, it says, Rune's head spun as he narrowed his eyes at her, blinking at the halo of starlight that danced around her head at her feet. He blinked again, pushing past the auras, clouding his vision, and it was gone. Another blink, and it was there. First read, you're like, this guy is high as a fucking kite. Second read, you're like, oh fuck, what is in front of our faces?
The entire time. Also, we have the sword glimmered with starlight too. He could have sworn the damn thing was singing. Interesting that it was doing it when Bryce was in the room.
Because I don't think it ever sang for him. So he's
Mm-mm.
like, but he's so high. He's like, what is this? And then again, Bryce was halfway down the curving grand staircase, the first lights of the crystal chandelier bouncing off her red hair in that shimmering halo. I mean, this could be him super fucked up, but I really do think it's more of a shimmering shadow of 4.
Definitely a shimmering shadow for.
In their journey, Rune notices how scuzzy the house is. Bryce passes Tristan Flynn, son of Lord Hawthorne, who is one of Rune's bestie. Declan is there too, the third to their little trio. They did their ordeal together, so they are like real deal besties. Bryce talks some shit per usual, and then Rune asks why she is there. So, what is the ordeal? The ordeal itself varied depending on the person. For some, it might be as simple as overcoming an illness or a bit of personal strife. For others, it might be slaying a worm or a demon. The greater the fate, the greater the ordeal. What a specific line that Sarah Janet wrote. We didn't write that. She did. Slaying a worm.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, Farah fucking had an ordeal.
Sure did. And you could look at Aelin. She had to slay some shit.
Yeah.
Val,
We should
perhaps?
probably get more into that in the other.
Sure should. I just want to say that the house, like when they're describing it, reminds me of the party at the beginning of Mrs. Doubtfire. Like I feel like that they dance to like jump around and they're like goats are running around and it's just pure madness all the time. Like that's how I picture that house. Just so fucking scuzzy.
They
And
for sure have goats because, like they're the half goat.
yes, they're fucking those goats, probably.
Not to compare that to Miss Doubtfire, not quite the same party.
There was no fucking at a little kid's party with goats.
No. Flynn's earth magic is mentioned, and it's
Mm-hmm.
rare among the fire-prone Valbaran Fae. I'm interested in Flynn. He piqued my interest. He's kind of a hoe, too, so I like him.
I wonder if he can do the smolder because his name's Flynn, like Flynn Rider.
I bet you he is, because, yes,
He's a hottie.
he 100%, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all hotties in their own right, but he's like the hottie of the hotties. King hottie, if you will.
Did you say if you will at the end? Because I almost said if you will.
Of course you did. Once Bryce was done pussyfooting around why she was there, Declan and Flynn realize it's because of them and their big ass mouths that she won't say anything. After she and Rune have privacy in Rune's room, which sounds like a spicy website, she asks what's the haps with the Viper Queen. She then has to explain that she is now a detective on the case and has no choice. Rune's verbal diarrhea asks her about Luna's horn. All because she's on this case.
Mm-hmm.
Chase is on the case.
Chase is on the case. Rune did have a thought. He goes, his sister has always been a master of her own fate. 4 to the shadow.
Once again, I want to say that Sarah Janet put so much foreshadowing in here. You truly do have to read this book twice because you miss so much because you don't know that you're missing it. It's
Well, and
crazy.
her writing style in this is different than the other books, in my opinion. It's a little bit it feels a little more chaotic and ADHD, but with purpose. Like once you read it the second time, it doesn't feel as ADHD in my head, but it's similar to the end of the Tog books. The different POVs back and forth, like so much happening. That's kind of how she wrote this one, in my
Ye-
all of them, in my opinion.
I think it's necessary. Like it
Hmm.
is absolutely necessary so you get the whole picture. I mean, but I'm like such a slut for different point of views. But yeah, it is totally necessary because we can't get the full story without this ADHD version of it.
Well, and if she has 3 different worlds that are all connected, you're gonna need more than just one POV. Like, you need all of the lead up, otherwise it is just a flat story. So, good job, Sarah Janet.
Bryce is not interested in anything other than the 411 on the Viper Queen, so she pieces out. Rune stormed after her, but saw her strut to hunt Athalar. Yet again, it's a magical dick swinging contest between the two since Rune wants her off the case and they still have beef from a previous physical fight. After they realized that they had an audience, to everyone's disappointment, no sexual tension broke between them and the boys broke apart. All Rune can do is tell Hunt to not let Bryce go to the Viper Queen. Rune feels like Erd is nudging them all. During this scene, like Hunt and Bryce are going, or not Hunt and Bryce, during the scene, Hunt and Rune are like, swinging their magical dicks. All I can think about is the Mike Tyson meme, like, now kiss. Like, I felt sexual tension building.
Between those 2, you're like,
Yeah.
"Why choose? Do it."
Why choose? Exactly. Thank you. I haven't said why choose in a while.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, another little Maasverse nugget. Rune says, could it really be a coincidence that murders were starting in at the same time his father had given the order to find an object that had gone missing a week before Danica's death? It felt odd, like Erd was whispering, nudging them all. And when I read this, I instantly thought about when Amryn was like, it's interesting that all the old players are back, like for the war. Like it feels a similar vibe. And from when we look at what the timelines are, if they're happening at the same time, that's right now.
Because the Asteri aren't there all the time. They like can do whatever the fuck they want. They're probably just like, let me go check on my other hot mess.
So if Erd, the mother, the cauldron, was urging them at this time, it's like the mother is fighting against the Asteri in in both respective worlds. But timeline wise, this would pretty much be about the same time from what we know of Silver Flames and this book. It's just curious.
We are working on the timeline and it'll be on our website.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for hanging out with us as we begin our journey through Crescent City. We have new episodes every Wednesday, and join us next week as we talk about chapters 17 through 24.
Have you joined our community of High Ladies? It's our virtual book club where we are currently binging the series that started it all for us, The Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah Janet Maas. Expect extra videos, discussion questions, and the best time. It's the closest you can get to being back in Valaris without a surreal drop in the tea. Don't forget to follow us on social media for our latest updates, theories, and more new book goofing. Make sure you also give us a review wherever you listen. All links are in our info, you giggling gal pals. So we'll see you next week.
Ta ta!